Hi, we're Richard and Jackie from Early Retirement Wanderlust. When we early retired 3 years ago, we thought that life would just be about leaving work, but actually it's turned out to be so much more.
So in this video, we want to take you through our top 7 surprises that we've had from our early retired life. If you're new to the channel, we are Richard and Jackie from Early Retirement Wanderlust, and we made the decision to early retire from a 30-year teaching career 3 years ago.
After a really horrendous 2021 where we lost a couple of really close family members and actually people that we worked with, we realised life was quite short and we decided that that was the time to early retire.
And in those 3 years, we've learned an awful lot about ourselves. There are some things that we expected out of early retirement. There are other things that we've discovered out of early retirement. So what we want to do in this video is to take you through our experiences of our first 3 years of early retirement and some of the surprises that we've experienced along the way.
So one of the biggest surprises that we've had over the last 3 years of early retirement is that quality time that we have with each other. We were quite worried when we first early retired. We were ships that sailed in the night. We worked really hard as teachers and we were parents running around after the children. And we were really quite worried about what it would be like spending all of our time, just us two together.
And it is one of the biggest questions that we get asked on this channel about how do you cope with that? And I think it's a very real, not necessarily anxiety, but a very real concern for a lot of people of how do you transition from that time apart, working apart, to actually having 24/7 together. And we've really embraced it and we absolutely love it. And we definitely feel like now is a new chapter in our life, and it's a chapter where we can write it for ourselves.
And I think we're really lucky, and we get a lot of people saying that in the comments that we have. We have very, very similar interests. So we do both love travel. We do both love being in our campervan. We do both love having that time with each other. We've really embraced it and actually rediscovered each other and our lives together and our love for each other. It was something that we worried about.
Yeah, and it's sort of brought us closer together in a strange way. We lived our lives pretty separately when we were working, and we are very, very different characters, probably on both ends of the spectrum. So I was very much a workaholic and pretty driven and just went all in on work.
And I was working part-time for most of my career because obviously I was also helping look after the children and running around after them. And I was probably quite a lazy, laid-back character compared to Richard's drivenness. And we did worry when we first early retired how that would work. But for us, it's been fantastic.
It sort of brought us closer to the middle.
Yeah.
And we've definitely learned so much from each other. So Jackie is amazing at chilling me out, slowing me down and reminding me that I don't really need to be that driven and have such a iron grip on all things in life.
And for me, when I had my days off and the kids were at school, I was really quite lazy. I used to sit and watch TV all day and I would just sort of potter and get up late. And I did think that early retirement might enhance that because I've just got so much time to kill, but actually it's been the opposite. I've sort of gone more into Richard's habits and I get up quite early. I'm sort of up between 8:30 and 9 and we look forward to what we're going to do in the days.
And one of the things we never had when we worked was that time to discover each other. No. Just like that. So it's a really tangible way of how things have changed over the course of the last 3 years.
And actually that's time that we wouldn't have had if we'd early retired. If we'd carried on till we were 65, I don't know, would we have just been too tired to have embraced that extra time?
Yeah, we've talked a lot on the channel about maximising the go-go years, because in retirement you've definitely got 3 phases of life. You've got the go-go years, you've got the slow-go years, and then you've got the no-go years. And by making the decision to early retire, what we wanted to do was make sure that we got enough energy to maximise our go-go years. We're not 100% sure why this has happened, but we both feel that over the course of our first 3 years of early retirement, we've very definitely both grown in terms of our personal confidence.
Part of that, I think, is down to us setting up the YouTube channel. We originally set it up as a project almost to keep Richard busy because he was worried about what he would do when he was early retired and how he would fill his days. But actually, the YouTube channel has really brought both of our personalities out. It's really brought our confidence in ourselves out.
We were pretty shy people, and it was cringeworthy to think about starting a YouTube channel, but the consequences of that is we've met so many amazing people and we've had so many fantastic opportunities to do things that we would never have done, and it's absolutely put us outside our comfort zone, and we've sort of grown into that confidence.
Yeah, and I meet people now when we go back to our hometown because we've actually relocated and live in a different part of the country now. It's really great to talk to people, and rather than just sort of being shy and saying, well, you know, we've early retired and we're just pottering about, I'm like, yeah, we've early retired, we've set up a YouTube channel and it's wonderful, and we just, you know, we're really confident to talk about what we do now, and actually we're really quite proud of what we do now.
And we've always been reasonably adventurous, but last year we put ourselves completely outside our comfort zone and set ourselves a challenge to visit a new continent. We'd never visited the Far East before, so we went backpacking at the age of 53 around Thailand for 6 or 7 weeks, and I don't think we'd have ever done that, would we, really?
No, it was always something that actually quite filled me with horror and dread. I have always been quite a home bird. The campervan travel I love because the van is our little home on wheels and it takes us to some beautiful places, but it's still our little home. So travelling when we went to Thailand was quite an anxiety-filled event for me. But wow, when we got there, we really embraced it.
And, you know, that's all that's done is sparked off more thoughts about where we want to go in the future and plans we want in the future.
Another highlight, actually, from being part of this YouTube channel now is that wherever we go now, we do seem to bump into subscribers, and it's actually really good because it breaks the ice and again gives us the confidence to stand and chat with complete strangers, but people that do know a little bit about us. And we've really met some wonderful people along the way, haven't we?
We have. And one of our very real concerns about early retiring was leaving our work-based friendship group and not being able to replace that. So YouTube has really helped. We have met up with so many subscribers, and a lot of our subscribers now are really becoming what we would consider personal friends. We're meeting up with them and we've got that joint interest. So we never would have had that confidence to do that, and early retirement has really helped us grow in that particular area of our personal development.
Something we did find quite surprising, and people had said that before. Once you leave your work environment, you very quickly lose contact with those friendships. I mean, we do still keep in touch with some people from work, but where I spent 15 years at my school with the same people, those friendships change, don't they?
They do, and I think sometimes when we were in work, we sort of rested on the laurels of those friendships because those friendships were convenient. You saw those people every day. Whereas now in early retirement, we've learned that we've got to work on our relationships and we've got to put the effort in to keep in contact with people. And we've also got to accept that those people that are still in work have other priorities, and those priorities are not necessarily us. And that's fine because that is how life moves on.
Yeah, after 3 years, we don't have that commonality with people anymore. We don't know what's going on in the teaching world. We're just completely out of it, aren't we?
Yeah, but that's a great thing about life, that friendships ebb and flow, and now is an opportunity to make new friendships, and we are meeting a whole host of new people, which is a real blessing every single day.
When we were teachers, we never actually thought that we could do any other career. We didn't know what we would have done if we weren't teachers.
And I hope it will resonate with a lot of you. When you've been in a career for 30 years, you're not entirely sure about what you could do. And when we were teachers, we used to tell the kids all the time that you're only limited by your own imagination. And I guess we probably didn't believe that, whereas early retirement has offered us a freedom to explore things that we've never been able to do before, to step into worlds that we were probably a little bit uncomfortable with in terms of the YouTube. And it's just shown us that really we are sort of masters of our own destiny and we can make decisions for ourselves. And everything that we're doing now to do with our early retirement and to do with this channel is all of benefit to us, and it fits with our goals of giving something back to the early retired community.
And then linked with that is our next point. One of our biggest concerns is our identity. For 30 years, we identified ourselves as teachers, parents to our 2 children, and sons and daughters, part of a family, and that was our identity.
And I'll be really honest that the number one priority for 30 years was probably our careers, because it's what brought the money in through the door, and everything else, if I'm really honest, I think sort of took second best, because we had to make sure that we kept the wolf from the door and we kept earning and we kept a roof over our head, and that was okay because that was that phase of life. Whereas I think now we've realised, we are absolutely more than our job role description.
Yeah, now I think we see ourselves as adventurers. Last year we spent over 30 weeks travelling to all sorts of different countries that we never thought we would do before. And YouTubers, apparently, we keep getting told, well, you YouTubers.
And it's allowed us to redress that balance that I talked about a moment ago. So we've always been sons and daughters, we've always been parents, we've always been friends, but now we've got so much more time that we can prioritise those relationships. And rather than work taking a huge chunk of our time and our energy, we've got so much time to devote to the people that are really important in our lives and the roles that are really important in our life. We're very definitely so much more than a job description. We are Richard and Jackie, we're our own personalities, and now we've got the time and the freedom to pursue those interests how we wish.
And I do think our personalities are starting to show through on that as well.
One of the biggest surprises for me in early retirement is I didn't quite realise the effect that stress was having on me at work. I never considered myself to be a particularly stressed person at work, but when I think back now and look at some of the changes that have occurred since I early retired, I was in it pretty deep. So I think back to my sleep patterns. I rarely had a good night's sleep. I was up in the middle of the night multiple times thinking about work and perhaps even getting up and doing some work in the middle of the night. I never really looked after my nutrition. I never really looked after my health and well-being. And it wasn't until I stepped away from the working environment that I actually realised what an effect it was having on me.
And probably to a certain degree, I think I'm the same. I didn't think I was stressed either, but I would be awake at night just mulling over what I was going to do the next day. I didn't see that as stress, but it probably was, because I probably was quite anxious about making sure I was fully prepared. Yeah, I sleep like a babe now.
So I think probably one of the biggest surprises is, it's a metaphor, there is the boiling frog metaphor, that if you put a frog in cold water and you slowly increase the heat of the water, the frog will never jump out of the water because it just gets accustomed to the increase in heat. And I think that is a really good metaphor for my 30 years of working life, that I just got used to being stressed and never actually realised the effect it was having on me. Whereas now, 3 years in, I can redress that, I can have priorities for myself, and I can really prioritise looking after myself.
And actually now we do have a really chilled, laid-back lifestyle. I do feel stresses occasionally. Richard tries to make me work, like he's done this morning, doing our YouTube recording, but it's a different kind of stress. It's a stress that we put on ourselves. We don't have to do it if we don't want to, but we definitely have a very different feel to our lives now.
And it just reminds me of something that we hadn't actually thought about when we were planning this, is the fact that stress doesn't disappear. So if you are thinking about early retirement and thinking that there is going to be a miracle cure and stress will suddenly be removed from your life, that's not the case, because we're all worriers. The human mind is evolved to make us worry about things to keep us safe. So if we're not worrying about work things, we're worrying about other things. So stress is still in our lives, but as Jackie says, it's remarkably different to work-based stress.
Yeah, we've got the time to sit and work out what we're going to do about the problems, whereas when we were working, you just didn't have that time.
It was just firefighting.
Obviously, with early retirement comes a huge amount of time to do what you please. And one of the things that we've really enjoyed is that we are now so much more spontaneous.
For my whole life, I have been a planner. And I have struggled with the concept of releasing the plan and releasing my grip on life. But Jackie has been helping me with that.
He does love to know what he's going to do from morning till night and having a plan for it. Whereas now I've helped him embrace that spontaneity. And this here is a prime example of how we are embracing being spontaneous. When we planned our travels to Spain and Portugal, we mentioned to our family that maybe they would want to fly out. They booked a villa, so we're here for 2 weeks, how fab is this place?
And our road trip, if you've been following our travel adventures on our Sunday videos, you will know that we sort of set off with very few plans, and that irked me a little bit, but I've worked with it. So a great example is that the weather on the north coast of Spain turned sour on us. So we just decided to go elsewhere. We had got provisional plans in place, but by heading south, we've got the good weather and we've just had an absolute blast. And if I'd have stuck to my plans, or we'd have been limited by a shorter break, then we wouldn't have been able to do that. And it's an absolute blessing.
And something that we've learned to not do is say no to an opportunity. So if someone asks us if we want to go and do something, most of the time now we will just, without thinking, say, yeah, why not? Let's go for it. We've met up with some of our wonderful subscribers. I know we had one of our subscribers, Sharon, came across from Canada, and she was walking part of the Yorkshire Dales way that Richard had done. And we said, why not just join them for the day? And we had such a lovely day.
One of the most common and natural questions we get asked about early retirement is to do with the finances of that. And the thing that we would say about it is that you have to be willing to compromise, because inevitably by making the decision to retire early, there is going to be an effect on your overall pot or pension fund.
And if you watch the channel regularly, you'll know that we talk a lot about less is more. And we've got a lot less money to live off, but we have got more of a life that we're embracing. We try and find things to do that are cheap and have no cost. We do embrace having tiny little treats. We've never been ones for going out and having big meals, but we really love if we have treated ourselves to a coffee and cake, and it feels quite indulgent. And I like that feeling. It's not the expectation that we're going to go out all of the time and spend lots of money. It does feel like a treat when we do that.
And in terms of possessions, we've downsized from the family home, so we had to clear out a lot of our possessions, and we've realised really how few things you need to live a fulfilled and happy life. And we don't have many possessions, but by having fewer possessions, it allows us more space to experience life and to do the things that we want to do.
And when we were working, we earned pretty good wages as teachers, and we always felt like we still didn't have enough money to do everything that we wanted to do. So it was a big worry of ours when we were going to early retire. Could we stick to quite a low budget compared to what we had? And actually, we found ourselves embracing that. We've actually found ourselves, it's almost part of the challenge of our early retirement, something that we quite enjoy.
And it sounds a little bit pithy, but it's absolutely true, and it pretty much sums up our early retirement, is in the fact that we are very definitely cash poor, but we are time rich. And that balance between earning the salary and having the time, we now know what's a priority for us, and it would always be having the time and having the time together to build those memories throughout what we've got left in our life.
And even feeling like this, our travels, I think a lot of people think we must spend an absolute fortune on our travels. We're on our trip through Spain and Portugal at the moment. We have actually paid a bit more. We are using the luxury of campsites, but it's almost like a challenge to ourselves. We still try and live to our retirement budget that we've got when we're living at home. It's actually cheaper for us on the road. We actually spend less when we're on the road than we do when we're at home. Okay, so those are the 7 surprises that we have discovered about ourselves in our 3 years of early retirement. Richard's discovered that he can let go of things and he can be more spontaneous, and it doesn't need to stress him out to be that way.
And on the flip side, Jackie's learned that she's perhaps not quite as lazy as she first thought she was.
Yep, I've discovered that I've not sunk into a world of just staying in bed and watching TV and doing nothing with myself. I actually enjoy getting up each day and having the time to do whatever we please.
So to sum things up, we very definitely think that early retirement is just a new chapter in our lives, and it's an opportunity to develop new skills, it's an opportunity to develop our personality and to have quality time with each other.
Yep, we've discovered that we are actually quite creative people. We weren't just teachers. We love the challenge of thinking how we can use our creativity in all our different videos.
And the other thing we've realised is that we don't need the amount of money that we thought we would in order to be able to make ourselves happy.
If you early retired yourselves, we would love it if you share in the comments below some of the things that you've perhaps learnt about yourselves. And if you are thinking of early retirement, hopefully we've addressed maybe some of your worries. It is what you make of it. You have to have a mindset that it's going to be okay, it's going to be successful. And for us, that's something that we are grateful for every day in our early retirement.
So that's it from us for this week. We hope that you've enjoyed the video, and we will catch you sometime next week. See you later. Bye-bye.
Bye.